Good morning. Thank you for joining me here for this morning of mindfulness. So perhaps just aware as you settle in of the invitation to be yourself. We've talked here about the emphasis in mindfulness on being rather than doing. There's not something in particular we're trying to get to, but instead just to be however we are and whoever we are right here, right now. Which is very much akin to an invitation to be yourself. Everyone else is taken, as I think Oscar Wilde said. So the practice that we'll be doing today involves more silence. Perhaps just noticing how that lands for you. It may be pleasant or not. Remembering that every moment and every experience, whether it's something we want or something we don't want, is another opportunity for awareness, friendly and non-judgmental. It's something else that we can practice being with rather than trying to change. And the more we do this, the more we cultivate the mode of being, the more available it is to us. That's not to say that we never want to try and change anything. But if the change that we try to create in the world can come from a deep peace with how things are, the strength to accept the way things are right now, and then work to change them. It comes from somewhere wiser and stronger, and is therefore more likely to be effective. So, this is not about not changing things. So, just settling in, finding your seat, or lying down, or sitting, standing up if you prefer, and closing the eyes if that's comfortable for you. So, beginning with an awareness of the body, the space around the body, and the boundary between the inside and the outside. A porous boundary through which exchange is constantly taking place. And then picking up the feeling of the breath. Perhaps the feeling of the breath in the belly, if it's available to you there. You might imagine a small balloon in the stomach. Even putting a hand there if that supports you. The balloon expands as you breathe in and deflates as you breathe out. See if you can allow the mind to rest with this sensation, leaving everything else where it is. Just following this expansion and deflation, anchoring the awareness here. If a ship is anchored to the sea floor, that's not to say it won't move at all. And likewise, of course, the mind will wander. But the anchor allows the ship to come back again and again. And that's what we can do. When the mind wanders off to other sensations or sounds or thoughts, emotions, noticing this is itself a moment of awareness. We acknowledge where the mind has gone, briefly, thinking, feeling, worrying, planning, using the word as a label if that is helpful. Acknowledging briefly where the mind has gone, gently bringing the attention back to the sensation of the breath in the belly. Remembering, of course, that if working with the breath in this way is difficult, to the point where you feel it's not possible for you right now, choosing another focus for the sensations, for the awareness, and coming back to that each time the mind wanders. Not so much hoping or intending to sustain attention in an unbroken way, which is simply not how the mind is. But instead, setting an intention to come back again and again. A snapshot of awareness of the breath as it is right now. And then another, and then another. Fully experiencing rather than thinking about the breath for one moment and then for another moment. and then for another moment, without getting too caught up by what happens in between those moments. So you can use the stretches of silence to practice in this way. Snapshots, moments of pure and open awareness, anchored in the breath. And when the mind wanders off, acknowledging it, and without criticism or explanation, just bringing it back for more moments, whatever happens in between them. With each moment, watering the seeds of awareness, cultivating the domain of being from which the most effective doing can arise in its own time. But starting with just being. Where is your mind? Noticing, acknowledging, starting again. Just this moment. And now this one. Allowing all sensations, emotions, thoughts to be here, not holding on or pushing away, and just resting the awareness with the breath, the rise and fall of the wave of the breath. That is all for now. If we can really give up all effort, if we can let go completely into this moment right now, then we can gather a huge well of energy to go and do whatever we choose later on. But starting from being, from just being without striving, just being yourself right here, right now, warts and all, and breathing through the warts and all. And perhaps now opening out the awareness to once again include the whole body, the whole galaxy of the body, the envelope of the skin. Tuning the mind into the body, Noticing any effort within the body, manifesting as muscle tension perhaps. And as best you can, releasing this, letting the spine support you or the ground support you, letting the earth support you. And just giving up for a moment. Not in the sense of a defeat, but of a peaceful letting go, a willing surrender to what is right now. Staying in touch with the breath as you open the awareness out in this way. Today's poem is called The Bright Field by R.S. Thomas. I have seen the sun break through to illuminate a small field for a while, and gone my way and forgotten it. But that was the pearl of great price, the one field that had treasure in it. I realize now that I must give all that I have to possess it. Life is not hurrying on to a receding future, nor hankering after an imagined past. It is the turning aside, like Moses to the miracle of the lit bush, to a brightness that seemed as transitory as your youth once, but is the eternity that awaits you. So always interesting as you move the body a little bit to make yourself comfortable, maybe stretch. Always interesting to notice what happens in the mind at the end of a practice. Do judgments set in about how it was compared to other days, compared to your ideas about how it should be? These judgments can be quite misleading sometimes. For example, it may be that that was harder than other practices, and we might conclude that that type of practice is therefore not for us. When in fact, the difficulty might be a sign that we're coming up against something really important for ourselves, and that therefore practicing with stretches of silence is more fruitful in the longer term. Which is to say, just noticing any judgments and treating them lightly, not holding on to them too tightly, but seeing them as other opportunities for friendly and non-judgmental awareness. Ah, there they are. So I wish you a day full of, or punctuated by, moments of just being, and trusting that from those places some really effective and compassionate and skillful doing can arise. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Take care.